3, 2, 1. Okay, welcome and good morning to another video where I'm going to be doing some recording. Today I have two face masks on and it feels like it's supposed to be minus 14, but it's kind of warming up here. Now I'm going to be heading down Clair Avenue West, which is here, which we've done today, already done. So we've walked north of where we live and a little bit to the west, and we've walked east of where we live to the gully which is in front of us. Now we're going to be walking south, I think, which is a bit annoying because it's a hill. Toronto sort of gently slopes down towards Lake Ontario. Yeah. Here we are, coming up to Yonge and St. Clair. I do like the fact that they put sort of like the little suburb you're on at the top of the street sign. So Yonge and St. Clair, Yonge being the main street, so let's go down it. Oh, I can't see anything going into the sun. But it is a little chilly. Now, the subway runs below us. And it is a lockdown here in Toronto, so all these shops are supposed to be closed. So for instance, the salon would have been closed since, I think, Boxing Day. But this burger place is still open. And groceries and whatnot. So for instance, the deli place over here. Toronto, at least until the pandemic, and probably still now, is undergoing a construction boom, and so it happens to have the most number of new cranes in North America, which I thought was kind of interesting. Clearly the subway stopped today because we've got shuttle buses as a replacement. And we've got a police officer across the road who must be assisting the buses, the shuttle buses. Probably to stop the traffic. So when the subway is out of service, or they're doing work on the subway, you can see they have these shuttle buses as replacements. And they have a lot of them, so that's fine. But it's not quite the same as being on the subway. Okay, let's keep a walking. So we've got some cute shops here. The Papery, which is a stationery shop. A favourite for Catherine to buy Christmas cards. So there's very fancy MoMA Christmas cards. And here we have the hardware store, which is where I have to buy my PPE. Still a big thing here in Toronto. So you can get 20 KN95s for $32. And that's the type we'll be using on the plane. And still some deals on kettles. Anyways, this place is quite a nice looking pizza place. There's a little bit of artwork up here, which is kind of neat. Look at that. Looks like the sky is dripping down the side of the building. And that's outside Nove Trattoria. Another building, did not last very long. I like that this one has dinosaurs on it. Okay. Now we're coming up to a breakfast place, sunny morning. And now we are at Rosehill. It's another subway station coming up. I wonder if you could see the subway. And this is a pretty well-to-do pizza place, which is Capocaccia Trattoria. Apparently doing a pretty good deal on takeout. Sure I can cross the road, yep. And in the distance, I don't know if you can see it, but there's Lake Ontario. And we've got some of the skyscrapers of downtown. So the part of, let's do this view. The part of where we are at the moment would be called Midtown. And Midtown goes quite a ways that way. Okay. Let's keep on keeping on. I really prepared for it to be hotter, for it to be colder. And now that it's starting to heat up, I'm starting to overheat. Over there we have the headquarters to the big cinema chain here in Canada called Cineplex. And those guys must be taking a wee bit of a financial hit. Now we're on the slope. This is why I don't really go down here this much. It's lazily, there's a hill, and then walking up the hill is a bit of a nightmare. And that's what's a little bit boring. There's not too much here. This is like a fancy school called the York School. Out of my price range. So we had St. Clair at the top of the hill. This bit here, Rosedale, in the middle of the hill. And then not too much further is Summerhill. We've got the animal hospital here. Fuck, man. And stupid drivers. Give me a fucking nod. Alright. Few places empty these days. Golden House Chinese did not make it. Community empty as well. Domino's successful. Oh, the furniture store kind of gone. Antique store still there. Now it's starting to move back into fancier shopping again. We're sort of on the cusp of fancier shopping. But still, more empty shops. Got a Hawaiian poke place. But we are coming to what is very interesting for me, which is the old Toronto North Railway Station. And so what they did is they turned it into an LCBO, a LCBO, which I would say is probably the fanciest LCBO that I'm aware of. Also, if you see any buildings that just have like really vague names, this one being called Canoe, then rest assured you'll know it's a weed store. These cannabis stores are everywhere. So we've got some bars here. This one happens to be Wiley's and is still surviving. Okay, past the New Balance shop. Honestly, how good. So the building with the clock tower, that is a liquor store. How good does it look? I mean, it is a former railway station. And I think we'll walk on this side of the road so we can get a little bit more of the sweet railway station. Now, when the lockdown was first kind of happening, I remember the spin class stayed open for quite some time. And, you know, they were like, don't worry, it's safe, and we've got, you know, social distancing, and everyone has to wipe themselves, and blah, blah, blah. But you're still doing a spin class with other people. And presumably, unless you're doing a very relaxing spin class, you're all exhaling to the maximum. You're breathing as hard as you can. Surely that would be like a pretty intense way to share breath with each other. There it is. The beautiful Summerhill LCBO. Featuring hard spirits. It's really the only place you can get hard spirits here in Ontario that I'm aware of. Lots of beers, wines. Now some places can do take-out beers and whatnot. So this place here is Boxcar Social. It's a bottle shop. Any deal would be, you know, more local beers and, you know, more fancy wines. But if you want to buy yourself a bottle of Dom or some other champagne, you're going to be heading to the LCBO. Now up here on the track, just here, is a Christmas tree that they would light up during Christmas. Obviously this is the train tracks. These train tracks still exist, but I think only for freight trains now. I've never seen a passenger train on these train tracks. Now you get to see a little bit of the concrete in the underside. You can see it's flaking and peeling off. And I'm pretty sure that's because it gets so cold here that when the water soaks in to the concrete and then it freezes, it expands as it turns to ice, and then as that happens it dislodges all this underside of the concrete, exposing the rebar. And imagine when that falls and hits you, you're gonna have a bad time. Hey, and here it is, the side view of the awesome Summerhill LCBO and the Christmas tree. Cute. Alright, let's keep a wandering. I'm going to cross the street here. I'll cross it up here. This side of the road's pretty bright and we're just staring into the sun and you can see all the cool stuff. Now we're coming up to some of the quirky places. Got the Rosedale Diner. And just while we wait for the lights, honestly, have you ever seen a Liquorland that looked this fancy? Don't tell me you have, I know you're lying. You can see the gentle slope down towards Lake Ontario. Oh, I'm getting so hot now. This double face mask thing might have been a mistake. Over there we've got Summerhill Market. Okay, I think it's our turn. Now Summerhill Market is like a very well-to-do market. Just kind of like high-end luxury groceries. Not like the most extreme, they still like fruit and vegetables. But it's not cheap. And I've been there a few times. They have beautiful bread. Oh, and there is the train. So that was a Canadian Pacific train. Oh, how lucky are we, guys? We got to see the train crossing the tracks by the LCBO. Must be Christmas, because what a gift. Okay, as I was saying, harvest wagon, very fancy. I mean, the sign outside the door says they sell sturgeon caviar. On the other side of the road we've got Canadian Trust, a bank, and where a Staples used to be. In fairness, it was a terrible Staples. And over here, we've got a bed store, which is where we got our bed from, well, our mattress Sleep Country. It was in a box, and it was shit. I mean, it was the cheapest mattress you could buy at Sleep Country, I think. But it's still like, I feel like it was still like $500. For all the McPhersons that I know, here we are crossing McPherson Avenue. And a gas station. Now, I don't know what the price of gas is in New Zealand, but I betcha it's probably not $1.11. And diesel is the same price. So whether you buy gas or diesel, no price difference here. I mean, I don't mind. I feel like people get upset about it without realising that half the price of gas in New Zealand is ACC. So I'm going to walk this way. I haven't heard any. But remember how I was saying that the street, the subway, runs parallel to Yonge Street? Holy shit. Those people freaked the fuck out of me because they were speaking right behind me. And I honestly thought, oh my god, whew, nearly shit myself. Okay. So here we have the subway line. Now this is some high quality content. But it looks like, unfortunately, the subway must be out of service today, which would describe why there are all those shuttle buses. Well, anyways, now you know. This is where the subway goes, and then it goes into a tunnel, so like from there it's just all underground. Okay. Man, that lady really got me. Oh. When the wind blows, it is bloody freezing. Hope you're enjoying the walking tour. I really realised that none of you guys are going to be coming to Toronto, so if you can't come to Toronto, then I'll bring Toronto to you. Okay, let's turn on Yonge Street and keep on walking down. Now we're coming up here to Supret. Supret is a very well-to-do cannabis store. They sold some jackets that I wanted, but they're kind of a bit out of my price range. You can kind of see some of them. They sold us hats and bits and bobs. On the other side of the road, this is kind of the start of some of the fancy shops. So we've got an Aesop across the road there. Flower store. Food place. Nearly looking empty. Got the salon. It's for lease. They didn't make it. Gourmet restaurant. Kind of knick-knack store. Oh, we've got a new shop coming through. Ellie May. Good luck, Ellie. And the pantry. Now, a while ago, I walked past a Tim Hortons, and I said that it was the worst coffee I've ever had. But I tell a lie. Here, at 1080 to 1088 Yonge Street, at this Starbucks, was the worst coffee I've ever had in my life. Honestly, if you had emptied your ashtray in the coffee and sold it to me, there would be no taste difference from what Starbucks offered me that day. The pits. So one cool thing here in Toronto is that if you're at just kind of like an intersection, the pedestrians have right of way, which is not the same as New Zealand. Across the road is a pretty high-end clothing and accessory store that Catherine loves called Want Apothecary. Then we've got some restaurants. Over here on this side we've got Shoppers Drug Mart. This happens to be one of the Shoppers Drug Marts that are doing COVID testing. Okay, guess let's keep going. Getting some flickering on the camera, which is probably not a good thing. Maybe it's just feeling cold. Some kind of grand looking apartments there. And now we are on the corner of the flickering went. Corner of Crescent Road and Yonge Street. And here we are at the Rosedale subway station. Now over there is an ice skating rink. Imagine it has social distancing, but I can see some people ice skating. Can you see them? It's where those big piles of white snow is. And I think there's like a basketball rink there too. Okay, let's keep a wandering. Now, I always feel like Rosedale, specifically the subway stop, is kind of the end of, I'd say, Midtown. And this is just the me, right? It's certainly the end of like the nice shops above the surface. The cute ones, you know, like the Aesops by themselves. From here on in, kind of gets a little bit more gritty. I mean, as we go well downtown, by the time we get to Lower Yonge, it kind of gets very gross. But anyways. So that was the end of Midtown. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's now go and check out downtown. Over there we've got Alma Terrace, and just past that is the Don Valley Parkway, which is a a main road going sort of north to south, kind of like a little highway. It's just very pretty. Got some big old boring skyscrapers. And folks you at least want to trust during a pandemic, the Christian Science people. We're still in Rosedale. But there's not too much to do in this part. The one thing that did impress me here is during the whole Black Lives Matter period of time, the sushi place is one of the only food places that had a big Black Lives Matter sign out. Over here we've got Robot Boil, which is a boil house, and you can tell it's a boil house because of the huge kani. It's Japanese for crab. And if you come in during January the 1st to the 3rd, you can get that New Year's lobster £1 special. Only $20. It's a good deal. Robot Boil. See you later, Cunny. This bit always cracks me up. The Oxford College of Art, Business and Technology. You can tell people you're into Oxford. When they say university, they'll say no thanks, it was the college. Now we're going past a very fancy fitness club called the Rosedale Club. Good luck to those. I mean, that was just so high end. And above us, this triangle symbol represents Canadian Tire. Canadian Tire is it's a bit like the Warehouse. They sell like the Warehouse combined with like a Bow Repairs and a super cheap auto. They sell tires, they sell car parts, but they equally sell kettles and Glad Ziploc bags and that kind of stuff. Some more shops have been hit. So Bomb Beaver Map. Sorry to those guys. And we're still in lockdown, which is important to note. So a lot of stores can't be open. Even the Canadian Tire is not allowed to be open. But thankfully, Costco and Walmart are allowed to be open, which kind of annoys the small businesses because they're like, hold on a second, if I sell t-shirts or a TV, why can Costco or Walmart be open and sell that stuff, but not, my shop? And I don't blame them, I think it's shitty. Okay, now we're coming up to probably my least favourite parts of Toronto, the downtown bit. Got a vape store across the road. And I think it's just my least favourite because, like, there's a few people who are a bit down on their luck and sometimes they might cause you a bit of drama. There's obviously a bit more people everywhere. People aren't really giving you space. There goes a G-Wagon. So there's some fancy people. This part that we're coming up to is Yorkville, which is a very well-to-do part. Maybe we'll walk around Yorkville for a bit. Okay. Ahead of us is the Toronto Islamic Centre, which is just up here. Then you've got a Caribbean restaurant, Randy's, Roadies and Doubles, and a Greek place, Fat Lamb Cozina. The entrance to the Islamic place, you can see they've got a brother's entrance and a sister's entrance, separate entrances, but it's closed because of COVID. And next to it, got the Asian Bistro, Pedals, a Top Cuts, and Mama's Pizza. Okay, we are going across the road. In the meantime, you can check out some of the new construction that's happening. You got the old facade, and then the new building's being built. It's just about our turn. Our turn. So while that sort of strip kind of is not so flash, this part here that we're walking to becomes really flash. Yorkville is well to do. As you can see, you can get yourself a nice little townhouse here for 1.3 million, which to be honest is pretty cheap. Okay, we've got a crepes place, still existing. Got some new buildings being built. And coming up is the Yorkville Library. It's pretty fancy. Let's find out about the village of Yorkville. Ancient Aboriginal trail, permanently settled in the 1800s. Thriving arts community. Ain't that always the way? Like, you have an arts community, it's very hip, people want to be there, then some high-end shops start creeping in, and before you know it, you're now just a high-end part of town. here is the Yorkville Library, looking kind of fancy. But one thing I like even more than the Yorkville Library is the fire station. So Toronto Fire Station 312, it's what you look like. And with your little tower as well. How cute is that? I just like it because it's something a little bit old school in the sea of kind of big buildings. So here, just past the Eastern Sound Studio with the statue of a moose, is one of the high-end hotels of Toronto. It's a bit windy now. And this one is the Four Seasons. If you're familiar with the Four Seasons, then odds are you'll be staying here in this particular building, which is very tall and very fancy. Oh no, the wind is blowing. It's gotten so cold. Oh, and if you're really, really fancy, you got the private residences at the Four Seasons. Okay, so we are just about at the very sort of fancy shopping places. Just going to cross Bay Street. Okay. It's Bay Street. Some more Bay Street for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Now we have like a pretty high-end grocery store called Pusateri's. They sell champagne truffles among other things. Then we got where Sizzle meets Style, Dynasty Chinese cuisine. But even Yorkville has fallen onto a little bit of hard times with whatever the shop is empty. Another empty shop. Apparently Canada's largest escape room chain coming soon. Oh. More empty places here. We've got Holt Renfrew is down there. But we're going to keep walking along here. And look how fancy that place is. That Sunglass Hut. But temporarily closed. I mean, it must be tough to be a retail business around here, right? More sales. And across the road, the red building, is Christian Louboutin. And then coming up on this side is Catherine's Dream shop, That's right. It's Chanel here in Yorkville Village. Apparently it used to be a hospital back in the day. And we got some more shops. Stone Island. Whatever Stone Island is. And just past that we have Versace. Right here's. Okay, so we're now going to walk down this little lane. It's kind of cute. So there's no cars, no cars. We're going down Old York Lane.
I've seen it recently. I'd love to have that.
Down here is a Kate Spade. Casa Moto. Japanese place. Like, this is the high end part of town. I mean, you can probably tell with the Chanel place. Hey, Kasamoto. In the past, a one-bedroom place around here would probably set you back $3,000, $3,500 in rent per month. Well, that kind of this looks kind of cool. And this is a Kiwi bar, believe it or not, called Hemingway's. The guy who runs it is originally from Invercargill. Here's Kate Spade. And here we are at Bay Station. I see Bay Station still has a bit of their Christmassy bits and pieces. Down there is Lululemon. Let's cross the road. Just wait for a couple of Porsches to go by. Actually, one was a Maserati. I stand corrected. Now there is a subway line that goes like east-west in the city. It's a green one, and that's Bay. And there's one that does a big giant U-shape, and that's the one that we were walking down, one side of which going down Yonge Street. And this is, you know, a cute part of town. They've still got a bit of their lights up and about. But my legs are tired, so I think I'm gonna head on home. And the best way to do it is maybe catch public transport. But because I'm a little bit nervous about this subway, there is a very quiet bus called the Avenue Bus, because it runs so infrequently, and it's literally just by the subway. So I'm going to see if I can catch that instead. I'm not sure what C was. I think it was an eyewear store. But apparently they are sad to leave Toronto. See you later. They should have ended with see you later. you know it's a really well high-end place. And you got the Nespresso building. I'm going to cut through here. Cut down Yorkville Lane, and that'll take us to the supermarket. This is kind of cute with all the lights on the ground. Holy shit, could that lady not walk any closer to me? Cute apartments. Got a bit of a Hannah Square vibe going. Past the wine bar. Not much happening at the wine bar. And a pretty fancy hotel called the Hazelton. I always wondered where that was. And the home cheese delivery place. And now we're outside Yorkville Village. That happens to have a Whole Foods down in there, and a little coffee shop. Alright, I think this is where the video ends. Thanks.